Trojan horse, talking head, womp womp. Yobi, they be ready, let's go. Feeling myself, I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling my privilege, delusion, entitlement, denial, double standards, individualism, comfort, arrogance, fragility. Do you know what racism is? Do you know how racism functions? 11 ways white America avoids taking responsibility for its racism. POC cannot be racist towards white people. I've never heard of anyone demand or suggest that Americans forgive Al-Qaeda for 9/11, but black people are always supposed to forgive and forget their past, present, and possible looming future. Black people aren't making things up, the science behind racial fatigue. Black people are told to get over the past. Tim Wise defines irony as when white people tell blacks to get over the past, even as they continue to support flying a Confederate flag of a government defeated 150 years ago. Black people are told to work harder, as if everything white society has to this day didn't come from or be bettered by the work of a black person. Black people are told to stop whining about being killed, but white people won't confront their own to stop the killing. Black people are told to stop playing the race card. The race card does not exist, but racism, whiteness, and white denial do. The race card is like the Joker in the deck. If it were real, it'd never get any play. The race card is actually the closest thing to the infamous get out of jail free card. White people use it to avoid taking on their responsibility. White people created the race card. In response to a black woman stating disdain for the saying, "If you want racism to stop, stop talking about it," Sheldy Thigpen, a white woman, stated, "If it's not spoken of, how can children learn about it? If they never know of it, their generation will never experience it. Racism is taught. Stop teaching children to be racist, and racism will stop." Willfully obtuse and reveling in it. Shelby's profile picture is a graphite illustration of a police officer kneeling on one knee, head mournfully resting in one hand, while the other clutches a folded American flag. Imagine a black judge telling the white families of 9/11 victims that the real victims were the terrorist families. Martin feared that he may have integrated his people into a burning house. Is there no house in hell that is not on fire? Get killed, march, pray, forgive, repeat cycle. POC can be racist towards one another, but never to a white person. "You don't know me, you're racist. You're judging me based on the color of my skin," said the white person. A white person is not judged by their skin. A white person is judged by their racist history and reality. The New American Foundation found that twice as many people have died in attacks by right-wing groups in America than by Muslim extremists since 9/11. White Americans are biggest terror threat in U.S., study says. Racial battle fatigue seems to fuel anxiety disorder amongst African Americans. How to be an ally, 101, instructed by John Brown. Because the player's gonna play, and the hater's gonna hate, baby, I'm just gonna shake it off. Apologies and expression of guilt to black people are meaningless. Confronting and challenging whiteness on the behalf of black people is priceless. Talk the talk, but walk the walk. Words are cute, but actions are beautiful. Be about it. Get her done, so to say. Imagine being massacred in your place of worship, murdered on the streets in your home, denied a safe space, and then told to be peaceful. Have white American societies experienced this? TFW, well-meaning white people waste time discussing their intent versus addressing and holding themselves accountable for the impact of their actions, statements, apathy, and silence. No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, You are still way ahead of everyone who isn't trying. A very funny thing happened to Jeff Gerber. It won't happen to you, so you can laugh. Watermelon Man. Blacks are mockingly associated with watermelon because shortly after slavery was abolished, it was the first crop they focused on harvesting to sell. It was easy to manage, which made it convenient to harvest, especially on the poor and small plots of land given to them by law. White people saw the success that blacks had created for themselves and in turn mocked them, turning any moment of glory blacks had into the entertainment of white people. I chose to say white people instead of whites or white society because it won't allow for any white person to slide into the idea of them being an individual separate from those bad white people. Find friends and neighbors who agree with you. Brigade Beta. Brigade is a new way to find allies on the issues you care about. Brigade.com. Black America should stop forgiving white racists. How do you know if you have forgiven someone? You realize you're not relating to that person today based on what they did yesterday. Actions speak louder than words. If black people were as violent as white people make them out to be, then there wouldn't be any white people, would there? The elk doesn't need teachings on the tiger as his enemy. The history of elk among tigers is proof. Con. Society has become so fake that the truth actually bothers people. You can't handle the truth, ironically became a celebrated statement. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't poppin'. What have white people protested against and for this past year? White nonsense, foolishness, messiness, shenanigans, silliness. Imagine being exhausted from trying to be stronger than you feel. You can't change someone who doesn't see an issue in their actions. Monkey see, monkey do. If someone treats you like shit, just remember there's something wrong with them, not you. Normal people don't go around destroying other human beings. Racism is not a mental illness. POC cannot be racist towards white people. Do you even know what POC stands for? Poppin' off continuously. It would be more successful to approach bigots and hate mongers rationally, but neither of these entities are rationally minded. Keep calm and carry on. Keep calm and keep carrying. Keep calm and power through. Keep calm and stay asleep. It is not the responsibility of the oppressed to educate their oppressors. Oppression as an action is not always conscious. As an action, oppression is not always intentional. Not always is oppression an action of directness. Follow the leader. 8 ways to identify white supremacists' behavior. Actions prove who someone is. Words just establish who they wish to be. All frustrations are self-induced, and the outside world can invite us to be upset, but we ultimately accept the invitation. Why you mad, though? White people triggered by being called white people. White person is not a slur. Being a white person and having your whiteness made clear to you is not a racist experience. Kill it before it kills you. As an ally in the presence of POC, especially black people, speak less and listen more, so that when you are in the presence of your fellow white race, you can freely speak as you would, but speak the proper statements on our behalf to effect change and progression. Surface value, surface reading, surface ally. Are they white? POC proverb used when hearing about someone who did something fucked up and got away with it. It's funny because it's true. 250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of state-sanctioned redlining. Until we reckon with the compounding moral debts of our ancestors, America will never be whole. When asked to describe an American, most white people describe a white person. Having two identities for yourself is an example of a lack of integrity. Mark Zuckerberg. Transracial is defined as someone who was raised within a culture that is not their birth heritage, particularly a person of color adopted by white parents. You can't be the norm and an individual at the same time. Before you criticize somebody else, try to keep it in mind that you are probably a piece of shit. When the wolf howls to the moon, it isn't news. It's only news when the moon howls back. What does legal even mean? Apartheid was legal, slavery was legal, colonialism was legal. Legality has been established as a construct of the powerful. The first problem for all of us is not to learn, but to unlearn. Gloria Steinem. Sorry for the inconvenience. They are trying to change the world. Capitalism isn't racist, though racism is a capitalist. Capitalism is no one's friend. Capitalism is an opportunist. As for the race issue, Ray said, Huck never questioned slavery. Toward the end of the book, he worries that by helping Jim to escape, he's really stealing the property of his Aunt Polly, who has never done him any harm, and that he'll probably go to hell for it. And then he says, all right, I'll go to hell, but I won't turn him in. That is a great American moment, and it still means something today. Nicki Minaj laugh. Hell is empty, and all the devils are here. A man who stands for nothing will fall for nothing. Malcolm X. Why do they keep telling me to take a seat? White person. Don't tread on me, get off my lap. Everyone is my teacher. Some I seek, some I subconsciously attract. Often I learn simply by observing others. Some may be completely unaware that I'm learning from them, yet I bow deeply in gratitude. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. Do not add bruh or fam to your vocabulary to sound black. Ever wonder what a fuckboy looks like? Are you friends with Andrew Burke? How we walk with the broken speaks louder than how we sit with the great. Black people have shown the world that you can keep going long after you think you can't. Staying positive doesn't mean you don't feel sad or angry sometimes. It just means you keep on going anyway. Black people are literally saying, stop killing us, and there are people saying, but... You may see them struggle, but you will never see them quit. Being both soft and strong is a combination very few have mastered. I try not to judge because I'm quite screwed up myself. Ayana Monet Stanley Jones was a 7-year-old black girl murdered by the Detroit Police Department 5 years ago during a botched raid on her home. She was shot and killed while she slept on her couch. All of the officers responsible for her murder were cleared of all wrongdoing earlier this week. Please locate the little white girl who was murdered by the cops. Please locate the cop who killed a little white girl and was cleared of all wrongdoing. Yes, all lives matter, but we're focusing on the black ones right now, okay? It is very apparent that our judicial system doesn't know that. Plus, if you can't see why we're exclaiming Black Lives Matter, then you are part of the problem. Douchebag, the white racial slur we've all been waiting for. Cracker, whitey, pale devil, mayonnaise, etc. do not match or equal the historical reality of the N-word. The underground art of the insult. Preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures, Cesar Chavez. Google image search Black Power and compare it to the search results for white power. What symbols of aggression towards white people exist and are freely exhibited? Anti-white is not the same thing as anti-black. White people fear being marginalized. Why is that? Just because you occasionally find yourself sad or without money doesn't mean you aren't privileged. Privilege is not about monetary structures. When did privilege become exclusive to wealth? Can you explain to me the difference between privilege and fortune? Knowledge acquired then is applied power. You know how that shit go, you know how that shit go, you know how that shit go. The most difficult thing in life is to know yourself. If you don't not know yourself, you have little chance of knowing anything else. How well do you know yourself? Knowledge of self is like life after death. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. A wise man once said, nothing. Know when to speak, know when to act. White silence is more violence. Just can't feel casual about casualties, Janet Jackson. If you are silent in the face of evil, then you are not the face of good. Master the art of observing. Most of your faves are problematic. I am problematic. You are too. Joni Mitchell says she feels an affinity for black men because she's experienced being a black guy on several occasions. Fact over opinion. POC opinions in regards to whiteness and white society are based on experience and fact, where white society and its people hold opinions on POC that are built off of ignorance and fear of retribution based on the history of white violence. A black person cannot be racist to a white person. Racism is about maintaining power and the tools and concepts that one utilizes to do so. Black people cannot co-opt and use the tools and concepts of white people to attack white people. Racism is a major tool of whiteness, and black people cannot use whiteness against white people. Tool time, cause and effect, making whiteness visible. I said what I said.
Ben Ashlock, reading for Brandon Drew Holmes.